Hello and welcome back to the Dublo Railway. Now, those of you who've been viewing the channel for a while will know that I've had a number of projects on the go involving conversions of 2-rail Hornby Dublo engines to 3-rail. And one of those projects involves an OH shunter, not this one as it turns out, but this will do for the demonstration today. Now the problem with the shunter in question was that I bought it as a three-rail shunter, and it came with the skids and all the pickups, everything in place, but it would stall on points. So when I tested the conductivity of the wheels, it turns out that 3 of them were isolated because this thing started life as a 2-rail shunter and had been converted. And there are various ways that one can deal with this. Now, how I have chosen to deal with this is, to some extent, a little bit involved. What I decided I'd do was I'd model a Class 13, which is one of these hooked up to a dummy, another dummy 08, and this is the first body that a friend of mine printed on his 3D printer. And I don't know how well you can see this, but it's it's a little bit short, and it's also a little bit too small in terms of scale. So back to the drawing board. He's been very patient with this, and he's in fact produced more bodies than there ever were Class 13s. So we move along to this iteration, which is getting pretty close. There's maybe some work in here and also some work around here. And this is a rough print, again, a test print. But we're pretty good for length. We're pretty good for scale, and so that's that one. And then I'll put them all here. There was a series of ever more refined versions of that, and I think this one here, this one here, is the eventual candidate. And there will be modification to this. There will be steps and a few other things done to it, but it will sit very roughly like this. Where are we? About there. And it will have its own chassis. Now, the chassis, for the purposes of this conversion anyway, because I just wanted to see if this would be successful, the chassis is one of these. It's a Tria-ang Ginty or 08. It's an 060 Tria-ang chassis, which came off any number of their models, and this is what it looks very roughly on a Tria-ang body. I actually don't have an electrically powered one of these. I only have this clockwork one, and you can get an idea of what it looks like. And this body here certainly won't look too much out of place at all with in comparison to this. Now, things to say about this. Well, the chassis is slightly long, as you can see, but it will do. And the whole idea behind this, apart from getting a somewhat unique looking locomotive out of this, was that I would get extra pickups through these wheels, and I would connect this to the chassis on my existing 08 with some conductive metal. It would be permanently coupled, and I would have decent running through points. And so that's where we're at with this, which is major progress, but it's only happened in the last few weeks or so. There's been the sudden availability of this on eBay at a reasonable price. This was under 20 Australian dollars. And the patient, the very patient improvements, gradual improvements on the body shell. Now, what we have to do is we do have to fit the body shell to this chassis, and it's looking a little bit like this is the way we will go. That's roughly correct. Roughly, I say. We've got the comparison here. It does need to sit down a little bit further, so that is going to involve me doing some refining work, shall we say, to this part of the chassis. If I turn the body around, maybe it will work that way. I haven't given it a great deal of thought. What I do know is that when this body sits on this lip, height for height, it matches this, which is one of the impressions I want to give. So that's about where we are. The next thing that you're going to see is one of these pushing this chassis on some track, just to show very roughly how this thing will work. There's going to be a part 3 of this, it would seem, and that is when we finally get around to fitting a body and coupling this up and giving it a proper test run. Anyway, that's where we are with this. And please note I said we, because this has become a joint effort between the owner of these and the very patient person who is working on these body shells for me. So off to the layout. Here we are at the layout, and in the distance you can see the 0008 I had in the office and the Tria-ang chassis ahead of it. In the bottom of the picture you can see the Tria-ang 08, the clockwork one, and the keen-eyed amongst you will notice that to the left of the picture I've got a new loading gauge, and if I pan back very quickly, I'm spoiling the surprise for maybe the next video or a couple of videos ahead. I've got the center part of the layout back in. It's wired. The wires are going down through the baseboard, and the next job is to connect them to some things like this, which arrived the other day. Anyway, let's finish this video, if we can, by getting a little run past of this 08. If I'm doing this with the wrong hand, hopefully this goes. Yes, here we are. And this is the effect that I want to get. Probably needs a little bit of lubrication, but there we go. So that's the idea. The next video will hopefully show a body on top of that chassis and all the electrics connected. So thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.